Okay, so on number 7, they're giving us, it looks like a bell, doesn't it? In fact, it's called a bell curve. And they want us to use what's called the empirical rule to answer the following questions. Okay, well, what it means, what it means here, down in the notes, here's the notes. In the notes, I'm giving you a bell curve. And what a bell curve means is it means these various percentages for the different sections. That's what it actually means. So, so I'm going to take those percentages and I'm going to write them up on our curve and put in the lines. So I'm going to come up here to our curve. I'm going to say, okay, line right there. Here, let me try to do a little bit better job. It's still not a better job. Here we go. Put some lines in here. Okay, so, and then this line and that line. Okay, so here, I missed on that one. Try again. There we go. Okay, so what are we talking about? We're saying 34% and 34%. I'm getting those right off the curve here. Just 34, this is in the notes, 34, 34, 13.5, 13.5. So let's put those in. 13.5. And then this other section is 2.35. 2.35%. So this is called bell shape or normally distributed. Notice the names up here. It goes by 3 names really. Well, probably 4 even. Empirical rule, normal curve, bell curve. It's also called the Gaussian curve. I won't write that name down. He's the person that came up with it or did a lot on it. Anyway, so you'll hear it mentioned the empirical rule. Something that's empirical means it's the numbers the data show. When scientists talk about empirical results, they mean the numbers. What were the actual numbers? So these are the actual percentages, the numbers about how data normally, that's why we call it normal distribution, it's how data normally spreads out. And it looks like a bell, so we also call it the bell curve. So anyway, so what that means is if your students on suppose you there's some big national test, like for the whole nation took some standard, the whole state, let's say the whole state of California, take some standardized test and the results are normally distributed. All right, that normally distributed. It's a normal curve, bell curve, normally distributed, empirical rule. It would mean these percentages. That would mean, well, here, what's the middle? Let's start with the middle. What is the mean? What is the average on the test? Well, that's the very middle, as I say in the notes here. The middle is the mean, and line to line jumps by the standard deviation. So the middle is the mean. So here's the mean right in the middle, 71 on mine anyway. And the standard deviation, that's the jump from line to line. What is the jump from line? How far from here to here? Well, that's going up by 7, isn't it? And how far from here to here? Well, if you subtract, you'll find it's going up by 7. Every time these jumps are going up by 7. So that's the standard deviation. If you go back down this way, it's going down by 7, down by 7, and down by 7. So the jumps from line to line are standard deviation. That's what I said right here. The line to line jumps is the standard deviation. We studied standard deviation earlier, right? It means the spread. It tells you something about how spread out the data is. So in other words, on this test, the average person, this is like the whole nation who took some big, or the whole state of California who took some standardized test. The average score on the test was 71, but the numbers are spread out. Some people got up to 78, all the way up to 85, all the way up to 92. What percentage? Well, 34% of all the students got between 71 and 78, etc. Now, if you look at the bell curve, 68%, that's the 2 middle sections, right? 34 and 34 is 68. So if you draw a line, let me do that here between this one and this one here. Let me get rid of this one here. This is 68. Let me draw that a little better. 68% of all the people, right? See how that's just 34 and 34? So that's what they're asking here. What percentage of the test scores are between 64 and 78? Well, 34 and 34, another 68%. Next question. What percent of all the test scores are between 57 and 85? Well, you can add up those percentages on your calculator, or you can just look down on the bell curve. I gave it from two lines, here's the middle, from 2 lines left to 2 lines right, which is what we're talking about. That's 95%. See? Right there, it's telling you 95%. They just added up these 4 numbers for us. 95%. So I'll just put that on our graph to make it more clear. So from here to here, that's 95% of all the numbers. So 95% is 2 jumps left of the middle to 2 jumps right of the middle, right? Here's the middle at 71. So 2 lines left, 2 lines right. That's 90. You're going to get 95% of all the people are going to get a test score between 57 and 85. And then the final region, how many got between 50 and 92? 50 and 92. Well, that's all these percentages added up. Again, we don't have to do it by hand. It's already right here, 99.7. That goes 3 left to 3 right, 99.7. It's right there for you. So I'll put that down with a different color. I'm running out of colors here. So I'll go, all right, so from this one to this one, that's going to be 99.7%. There we go. 99.7. Almost everybody, in other words, almost 100%, 99.7% of all the test scores were between 50 and 90. That's what it means. They do this all the time. This is actually very much real life. They will say, all right, there was a standardized test given in the state of California for all 5th graders, and the results were normally distributed bell curve. They almost always are. They call it normal because it's what normally happens, meaning there's a big hump in the middle, meaning most people got kind of average around the middle, but some people, this goes down because, some people got really high, but not many. It goes down, and then some people got really low, but not many. It goes down, right? The percentages get lower for those that did really poor or really excellent. Most people are around the middle. It's called normal distribution. It's what normally happens. What percentage of the test scores are between 71 and 78? Well, 71 and 78, that's 34%, isn't it? So that would just be 34%. What percentage of the test scores are less than 71? Here's 71. What percentage are left? Well, that's exactly half of the curve, isn't it? Now you might think, well, Mr. Shouldn't we just add up 34, 13.5 in this? And that doesn't quite have, no, there's actually a little more out here, which I'm not showing you. There's 0.15% and 0.15% that's beyond. And so anyway, long story short, if this is the middle, right, 71, they're saying less than 71. This all has got to be half. It's half the curve. It's 50%. And if you added 34, 13.5, 2.35, and the 0.15, then yes, you would get the whole 50%. So it's 50% because it's middle, it's half, it's the left half. And then less than 78. Oh, less than 70. Well, here's 78, and they want all of them less than 78. Well, do you see it's going to be here, from here over is 50% because that's half the curve, right? And then add on the 34. Do you see that? That'll be all the scores less than 78. It'll be 50%, right? The left half plus 34%. It's going to be 84%. See how I'm coming up? That's probably the most tricky one. See how I'm coming up with that? Less than 78, here's 78. Well, that's going to be this whole part, which is half, 50%, because it's half of the curve. And this part, which is 34, to get all those that are less than 78. It's going to be 84%. And so there we go.